right, that touches our team, to have a pulse, to have an understanding of where we are and what we're doing. For example, like this is week 5, I think, of the semester. So it's my understanding it's a heavy academic week, right? It's heavy, lots of tests going on right now. Like professors all love to give tests the same time of the year, right? I remember that from college when I was back in the day, so I'm sure it's the same way now, right? So we had our Monday support staff meeting. Kaylin comes in, Chad, just want to let you know, really heavy academic week. Lots of tests going on. What does that mean? Our kids are stressed. They're stressed, they're fried mentally, they're staying up later, they're putting more time into studying, they're spending time at the library, spending more time in study hall. Why does she tell me that? Well, because it's going to impact what we do in the gym. Is our expectation, is our standard any different? No, right? But how powerful is it when I come into the gym and I don't know what's your name? Kaylee? Kaylee's got a huge physics test, right, later this week. And I come in on Monday morning, hey Kaylee, I know you got a huge physics test this week. Like, how you feeling? How's it going? Like, what's going on? I'm not asking her to be any less of herself. I'm not saying, hey, Kayla, you can just go ahead and take the day off, right? No, she knows she still has a responsibility to come in every single day, give 100% of what she has, right? But she's going to be more willing now to what? To want to work, to want to engage, to want to get better because she knows I care. I care about her more, right, as a person and what she has going on in her life than just as a means to an end. Okay, I don't care what you have going on. I just need you to get out there and do what I need you to do today. Get me 16 kills and 10 digs. Right? No, like, again, and that goes back to the most important things, right? What are the most important things? They're not things, right? It's people. It's relationships, okay? So this team, we meet once a week, right? We talk about everything. Everybody understands what we have going on. We've talked about the sports psych side. I'm kind of going to go a little bit more into detail of what that looks like, okay? Bottom line is library resources. And I'm going to give you some here at the end, okay? But this is a powerful tool. Okay, use it. Okay, I get it. Some of you are going to be in situations, maybe at a high school level or middle school level, where it's just you and that's it. And you got to do everything, right? It's easy for me to stand up here because look at all these people I have. Look at all these people I have, right? It's awesome, right? Okay, so you may get to a point where it's just you. Okay, there's a library of resources out there. Okay, top 3 trends we're seeing. Okay, and sports psych. Lack of confidence, being vulnerable, and accountability. Prime example, our team, great culture. They hang out all the time, nonstop off the court. Love each other. Like, we don't have a ton of drama. We have drama, but we don't have a ton of it. Okay, we've learned how to manage it. Okay, but where we struggle, we have great social cohesion, right? But what we're trying to really press them this off season, we need better task cohesion. Because what we're discovering is their relationships and how close they are off the court, right, is holding them back from being able to accomplish all that we think we can accomplish on the court. Why? Because they don't want to hurt each other's feelings. And everybody said, well, that's just females. No, it's a male and female dynamic that we're seeing, right? The closer you are off the court, when you get on the court, that bias, inherent bias comes into play, right? And you just let things go because you don't want to step on anybody's toes, or you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you don't want to say the tough thing, right? And so we're pressing them right now. How can we be a better task-focused group in the gym, understanding that our relationships off the court won't be affected by it. It's not personal, right? And here we know we have a job to do, right? Daily rocks of self-evaluation. What that is every day our players come in, we have 2 whiteboards. They have their name. Practice plan is right there for them to see. Okay? We have an area like that they're focused on. So if I'm a setter, right, I'm going to be setting the go today. That's one of our play sets. Okay, our setters have to come in and they have to list 2 things, 2 technical areas that they're going to focus on as it relates to that skill before practice even starts. So before we even roll the balls out and get going, they've got to come up with 2 areas individually that they want to focus on in that practice. And then we go through the practice, and at the end of the practice, what they do is they go to the whiteboard and they just evaluate themselves. Scale of 0 to 5. 0 being I did not do any of that today. 5 being I was on it. I was right there. Right? And what we have discovered is that's a way for us to teach our team how to prep, how to prepare, like mentally try and process what we're trying to do in practice today. How do we get better? Right? So that they're mindful of it, hopefully throughout practice. Their minds tend to go everywhere, so if we can just kind of relegate them to 2 things. 2 things we want you to focus on. All right? Try and be really good at it, and then after practice, be honest. Like if you were a 1, you were a 1. We don't do anything with it. It's not like I say, okay, everybody who put down a 1, on the sideline, let's sprint. No. It's just, It's just self-evaluation, right? Okay? Leadership development, okay? Reserved for the few or relegated to the masses, okay? I don't have captains. Never been a big believer in captains. I think it's a power trip. I think it's an awful lot of responsibility for them to bear, okay? So what we do is we try and do leadership groups. And we pick 2 or 3 things that the team really feels like they need to focus on. Last year it was accountability, it was organization, and it was like team unity, okay? And so we had them kind of come up with 2 or 3 people that were going to sit on each of these leadership groups or working groups, right? And they were going to be really in charge of facilitating all the responsibilities that came with that. So we had an organization group. I never had to tell our team what they were wearing. Never had to tell them what jersey we were in. Never had to tell them, remind them that they needed to pick up our trainer's bags or this person's bags or help with this equipment or take down this or break this down or set this up. That was all facilitated through the organization group. Team meetings that were coming up, special events that were coming up, when we're leaving, paying attention to travel itineraries, getting meal forms in on time. All that facilitated through that organization group, right? Okay. Along with that, what we'll do is we'll do a lot of assessments, okay, and check-ins. Example here. Okay, so this is the assessment that we did with our team when they got back from break. Okay, we gave this to them in December and we said, hey, when you come back in January, you're going to have a meeting. You're going to have an assessment meeting for the spring. All right, and we want you, okay, to think about academics, strength and conditioning, nutrition, athletic training, mental performance, volleyball, leadership, service, and outreach. And we want you to come up with your strengths, areas of growth, and goals for the semester in each of these, right? And kind of teaching them about goals. They need to be smart, they need to be specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. And what we had them do is we had them come to the office and they sat in front of that entire team I showed you. Coaches, trainers, strength coach, academic person, sports site. They sat in front of about 8 people, right? And they're at the front of the room and they're sitting there and they're having to go through this, and almost like interview job style, they've got to present, talk about themselves. What are their strengths? What are their growth areas in each of these areas? How can we help them get better? Right? And so it was a great tool for us to try and equip and empower them, because at some point you're going to leave here and you're going to be in an interview, you're going to be in a setting where you have to sit there and be comfortable talking to a group of people about what your strengths and areas of growth are. By the way, that's the toughest question to answer that you will ever get in an interview, right? What are your weaknesses? What do you need to improve on? Who wants to talk about what they need to improve on? Right? So think about that. But this was a way for us to kind of get an assessment there and get them to start thinking about how they wanted to get better this spring. Get back here, maybe. Okay. Check-ins. We do bi-weekly check-ins. We call them 5-minute check-ins, where our assistants, my assistants, Taylor and E, they go grab Starbucks. Sometimes the kids come over to their office, they meet at the gym, and it's minimum 5 minutes. It could be 30 minutes, but it's minimum 5 minutes. And they sit there and they just check in. How's life? What's going on? How's your family? How's school? You know, they don't necessarily even talk about the volleyball side of things. It's just kind of, hey, want to check in, make sure you're doing well, right? That sort of leads me down into this. Okay, that's a big reason why we do this. This is a hot topic right now, right? You guys know that. Okay. Integral piece of the sports performance model. Okay, and what I mean by that is, it used to be just in our sport. It used to just be volleyball, strength training, and that's it. Right? So now, like, we make sure to incorporate that sports psych piece. So Cora and Luca, right, in season, as much time as we're dedicating to strength training, so we go 2 days a week where we're lifting for an hour. The other 2 days for an hour, we're setting aside an hour block with our team to meet with sports psych, to make sure, all right, that we're focused on mental health, right, and the mental performance side of the game, because it's important, all right? I think we have to be careful, okay, because we are in an environment now where there's this hyper focus on mental health, so you have to be mindful as a coach of forcing the issue, right, versus providing the right space, people, and resources to do that, right? So I will say this, using this as an example, like COVID hits, right, and that was the most scary thing for everybody, and coming out of it, like mental health, right, came to the forefront, as it should, right? But me as a coach, like I wanted everybody to come tell me their problems. Come talk to me. What do you got going on? What do you got going on? You. Everybody come talk to me, right? Because I needed to have my pulse on it. I needed to know, right? That was me doing this. That was me forcing the issue because I wanted the control. I wanted to be in control of it, okay? And what I discovered through that, right, and a more appropriate response and the way it should be done is we don't have to hyper-focus on it. I don't have to come at you every single day and where are you mentally? Where are you mentally? What can I expect? All right? As long as I'm providing the right space, people, and resources so that you every single day feel like you can come in, be the best version of yourself, have the people there that you can talk to, or at least the people that can get you to somebody that you can talk to, right? And at least know, right, anything that's coming down the pipe. One of the ways we do that, okay, we have our team every single day fill out one of these. Okay, which is a daily readiness response. They come in the locker room, there's a QR code in their locker, they scan it, they fill this out. It's not long. Name, all right, how are you feeling today physically? Scale of 1 to 5, 5 being I could go play in the Olympics. That's really for our trainer so that she can kind of know what's going on. Areas of pain or soreness, okay? Want to kind of track sleep, all right? What did you eat for breakfast? And here it is. We're not hyper-focused on it. We're not asking them to evaluate themselves on a mental scale or what's going on. We're just saying, hey, anything you want to share for coaches and our support staff to be aware of, right? And sometimes a lot of times we don't put anything in there, okay? Sometimes they will. Sometimes we catch them at practice, right? And we see, hey, like something's up, so kind of pull them aside. Hey, how you doing? What can we do to help you? All right. Again, trying not to hyper focus on the mental health side of things, but again, provide the space, provide the resources. Make sure you have people, right, who are aware of what's going on and kind of keeping a pulse, so to speak. That's how we get through it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Social media, I'll put it up here in a minute for you guys to see. It's important to us. For me, it's a way to recruit. Everything we do is through the eyes of what does a 16-year-old want to see. Okay. Retention. How do we keep our team here? Like how do we make it about them, right? Because that's important. And then relevance, right? Because it's how people communicate now. It's how you get your product out there, right? That's why it's important. So you'll see a lot of that involved in what we're doing. X's and O's, 2% of my job, y'all. Not kidding you. 2% of my job as the head coach, right? And that's a choice I made. I live with that, right? But I'm saying, like, in terms of management role and everything else that you're going to have to be looking at, all right, this takes a back seat sometimes, okay? It's still important, and one would argue it's probably the most important thing you do, okay? All right, but it's hard because you're trying to manage people. There's so many other things that go into your program. That's where I think it's really important to take the time to put yourself around high-quality people if you have them and have that opportunity, because they can help you with that. Prime example, I'm here talking to you. What do you think my assistants are at the office doing? They're planning practice tomorrow. Right? Okay? And I trust that. Right? If I didn't, like, I'd probably be running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to do all this and make sure I'm there for my team, but put yourself together with the right people, all right? And you'll be able to take care of all that. And again, all that goes in. I just want to show you a clip of everything that we have going on in practice. This is what we call one of our learning labs. We've got 2 TVs going here. We're training a lot through do the rep and go watch it on the TV. So it's on a video delay. So I can take 5 swings, come over here, watch it on the TV, and kind of see myself. I'm finding that's how our student athletes are getting better. Watching themselves do it, right? As opposed to me just telling them everything that we want them to be doing or giving them cues. Okay? But there's a lot going on. We actually have 2 different drills going on here. Colored tape, okay, for a visual aid. And again, trying to be image rich kids, so they got to be able to see things, all that good stuff. Okay, I'll save time for questions here. Here's some resources. Okay, your philosophy, biggest thing you need to be mindful of. All right, it's ultimately going to be shaped by who and what you surround yourself with, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. You're only as good as your people. Right? So if that's you and your team, make sure you have a really good team. If that's you and an assistant and an administrator, make sure it's a really good assistant and a really good administrator. You're only going to be as good as the people you're surrounded with. Right? Fill your tank with premium. That's just one of my things. I do try not to waste my time dealing with things that are going to drain me or empty me, right? I try and fill my tank, all right, with premium, which means everything that's going on in my life, whether it's, personally, professionally, spiritually, I'm trying to fill my tank with the most I can, premium level gasoline to keep me going. Trying to stay away from the negativity, trying not to waste my time like Saban was talking about. I don't play Call of Duty, but I have a 10-year-old who loves Fortnite, right? So trying to teach him, you don't need to be on there for 4 hours on a Saturday, all right? Shooting people, there's limits and boundaries, okay? Write this down. Great website if you want good coaching material, whatdriveswinning.com. Okay, Brett Ledbetter does a conference every year, brings in top-notch coaches. I probably spend 3 hours a week just pouring through video and read some stuff from that website. That's really helped me as a coach. And then, Twitter's full of it, but you got the Coach's Journal, Greg Burge, who does a really good job, Jeff Jansen. Side note, my wife was in his first ever leadership academy at UNC Chapel Hill. He does a lot of great stuff with leadership and culture and commitment, right? Kevin DeShozer are some of the ones that I follow that I think put out really good stuff. That's where the Nick Saban video came from. Okay, you got a lot of other great videos out there. Jay Wright, Mike Krzyzewski, Brad Stevens, all those people. But yeah, lots of good resources there. And I went a little bit over my time that I wanted to. But here's my information. Follow us on social media if you haven't. I feel like we put out some pretty good content there. So there's my shameless plug. My email, my cell phone, if you all ever want to reach out to me, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, we practice in Hanner, right over here. Y'all come by anytime. We go in the mornings. Anybody who ever interested want to sit down, talk coaching, talk shop, do whatever, my office door is always open. Really passionate about what I do and the ability to teach and coach, and I want others to be just as passionate about it too. So, any questions? Right at time.
In terms of recruiting, how much of that do you control, and also what is the process?
How much? Sorry, repeat that again.
In terms of recruiting, how much of that do you control, and then what is the process?
Yeah, so I control all of it. Taylor, my assistant coach, she coordinates everything, so she's the one who's doing initial outreach, communication, sending materials and all like it. But at the end of the day, the decision rests with me. I'm going to throw out the offer, right? Because I ultimately take responsibility for that. Recruiting is your lifeline, right? Especially if you're going to do it at the collegiate level. Jared always my AD always tells me, you recruit your own problems, right? So be mindful of that when you're going through that process. But we meet as a team once a week for about an hour just to go through recruiting, who are we watching and what's coming up, kids that we have committed, just to make sure we're all on the loop. So, okay.
I remember you said that when you were 15 or 16 you coached at D3.
Yeah.
What was that like being younger or around?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, senior year of my prom, I went with a college junior. That was pretty cool. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, it was really cool, and it was interesting because they didn't look at me as just this, young guy who didn't know. I think because I played, right, and could jump in there and I could do it with them, I could beat them. I think they respected that, that I could play at a higher level. So when I was trying to tell them things and show them things, But I was immature, I was 15, 16 years old, right? So again, back then all I knew was winning, right? But that didn't bother them. I was still able to figure it out. But yeah, it was an interesting time, for sure. Yeah.
During season, how many hours a day are you spending going over film and practice and stuff?
During season, a lot. Our work week in season, Sunday's our only day off. But we're coming in the office probably for a good 3 to 4 hours on a Sunday. So I'd say I'll give you my typical schedule in season. We're a morning practice block. So Monday we lift at 7, so I'm usually in the office by 6. We lift from 7 to 8. Practice starts at 8:30. We don't finish till 10:30 or 11, right? So there's half the day right there. At 11 I come back to the office. Depending on the day, I'm probably going to put an hour and a half to 2 hours in on opponent prep, an hour and a half to 2 hours in on our analysis and breakdown of what we're trying to do. And then there's meetings like support staff, touching base with all them. There's player meetings, there's player film. There's the administrative stuff like budget and everything else that I have to do. So when it's all said and done, I think we talked about it as a staff. We're in the off season right now. And I would say we're probably averaging in the off season 50 hours a week, maybe. In season, you're probably looking closer to 60, 70. It's nonstop. And I say this because I chose it, and I'm perfectly fine with it. It never turns off. And people say this, like yes, you have to have balance, right? But for me as a coach, I tell you this, like, there's not a day that I don't leave, that I don't go home, I put my head on the pillow at night, like I'm not thinking about my team or my people. It never turns off. But I've also, like, I chose that, right? So I have to be at peace with that. Like, I could have gotten a job that was 9 to 5, weekends free, spending more family time. My wife's a saint because she allows me to do this, and she takes great care of our kids. We have an 11-year-old, or 10-year-old, and 8-year-old at home. I'm not around a lot, right? So she's the one shuffling everywhere, right? But my thing is, like, so yeah, there's a price you pay, right? And I understand that, but the reward for me right now is so much greater, right? Because every single day I get to be around people and impact young people's lives on a transformational level, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So can I be better at it? Sure. I can be a better family man, I can be a better coach, I can be a better husband, be a better father, I can be a better Christian, I can be all of it, right? But that's what you gotta figure out. So I don't know if that really answers your question. But.
Yeah.